Good morning, vinyl community. I'm here to read out continuing conversation between Nic Schreck and Charlie Manson. Charlie Manson, Nic Schreck. Do you want to talk about what it means to be an outlaw? Charlie Manson. That's just being free, being yourself, being whatever you are. Still regarding the book, I like this, man. It's a little better than the other piece of shit they wrote. They said it was mine, a reference to Neil Edmonds' book, Manson in his own words. They lie, man. They lie so fucking much, and they lie and then they turn around and represent you, young people, that mockingly authority voice. We're the guys up here. Let us teach you, kids. Let us teach you what's going on. And they don't know what's going on. And they won't face what's going on. They don't even know what's going on. Nic Schreck, do you think that your thought has had an influence on young people now? CM, to put it to you this way, when I was a little kid in the streets, I was smoking grass. And it wasn't but a few people smoking grass. I come to jail as a beatnik. I know whether you or even remember beatniks, and what you hippies were in the 60s were what we were in the 50s. We got ate up by the system, and then we got back out. The hippie was a takeoff of the beatnik, as the beatnik was a takeoff of the bohemian, or the bohemian was a takeoff of the bootski boop. In other words, it's lop-de-lops and circle that come in and out of these places. Nic Schreck. It always seems that you weren't really a hippie in the sense that you represent order. Charlie Manson. I didn't represent nothing. NS. No? CM. I didn't represent anything. I represented me. I represented a motorcycle, a sleeping bag, a guitar, and all that other shit that's the DAs. They put all that shit on me, man. That was a bunch of broads who's following me around, and there's always broads following me around. Nic Schreck, what about the myth about the process and Robert de Grimson? CM, swiftly breaks in. That's a bunch of horse shit. NS, did you ever meet them? Charlie Manson, irritated. No, I don't have to. You knew them? I knew them. Spiritually, I knew everything. I knew everything. Nic Schreck, because you live there on Cole Street? Right near the Charlie Manson. Yeah, I was in the same vibration of all those people. Yeah, in other words, you were somebody. You knew somebody. You knew they were. You're running with them. Oh, whoa. Makes wolf sound. You know what I'm saying? You're out in the bushes and you're coyotes with them, and you're spiritually allied with them, and scorpions, and you're spiritually allied with them in the awareness that seems break the flow of what he's saying to observe Langerman again. You notice this guy, and I'm talking, he's going through all the kinds of changes. Well, I'm spiritually allied with this dude, see? Nic Schreck, you've talked about the wolf too. Charlie Manson, yeah, I'm spiritually allied with that character too, yeah? Yeah, in other words, that's the way the animals and I identify with more than I do with the way of the humans. Humans are pretty stupid. Humans won't survive. Humans ain't going to survive. No way they're going. Nic Schreck, what do you think's going to destroy themselves? CM, yeah, definitely. They're going to destroy every fucking thing. They're destroying everything. You people don't realize how many, if you sit down and start thinking, people, it would take you 10 weeks to think about 200 million people, man. You know how many people that is? Now that you run out of food and 200 million people, you run out of oil with 200 million people, you run out of thought with 200 million people. You got to love meat there, man. You got to love meat to deal with it, dig? And Jackson wants to run for president. Yeah, hey. That's a reference to Jesse Jackson. He better hope someone wants to be president. You dig what I'm saying? But who in the hell would want to be? Can you convince of what kind of brain would wanna lead these fucking scoops out into there? Because there's no communication with them. You dig? If you took a horsewhip and beat them, you still wouldn't understand what the hell they were talking about because there's no intelligence there. Nic Schreck, do you think there's too many people? CM, oh man, yeah, I know. They'll pray for Hitler to come back. They'll wish he had been here. Nic Schreck, what do you think about Adolf Hitler? Charlie Manson, I just think he was thrown in this time doing his trip for whatever. You see, you don't have any other choice. Once you get an order in, yourself, then you got to reach out the order in your own household, in your own family, in your own kin, in your own kind. You got to reach that order. You can't go. I can go over and tell this man something until I tell them something. If I'm right within me, then I can tell him that's right within what I think. But each man has a right within what he thinks, dig? I can't make another man right. The other man's got to be right for himself. Nic Schreck, do you feel that you have a connection with Hitler? Charlie Manson, we all do. Anybody who wants to put order in the world, anybody who's got a brain that wants to put order in the world has got to stumble upon Hitler, because Hitler started putting order into the world, and when he started putting order in the world, he threw it out and overwhelmed him. It was too big for him, and he couldn't do it. You dig? Nowadays, it's a different computer. It's a different world. It's a different thought. You don't need all that explosive power. You don't do it on your computers with your buttons and stuff. Breaks into a rap scat. Manson singing with a string of lyrical half-nonsense words. With your aids and braids and with your Bisker bar aids and bloopty button guzzy get. That's in my music, see? And that's what they won't let me get out. And then every time they keep that music out, then all the kids raise up and they kill a bunch of people. And then they say in mock dopey authority voice, whoa, you're fucked up. Whoa, why are you fucked up? Whoa, say you can't put your music over my music. You dig what I'm saying? You put your voice up over my voice. You say your God's bigger than my God. You dig what I mean? And then once you get down in the alley with it, and whose dog's the biggest dog? I'm the biggest dog when I'm out there in the street. When I'm riding my motorcycle and I got my knife, it ain't nobody up over me with nothing. Now shooting a smoldering look towards Langerman, nearly trembling with rage, and his firmly metered words deliver a pointed message in his keepers, causing an icy tension in the room. Nothing, nowhere in town. Nic Schreck, what do you think you've made you different from these other people? Charlie Manson, his words now saturated in bitterness. I was stupid enough to believe that I had rights in this country. You know, I believe that the judge said, in other words, I worked for 20 fucking years to get out of jail. I did everything these assholes told me. I thought that ding-dong prison authority in general was my daddy, man. I played up underneath that fool and did everything he told me to do. Right, just perfect. Perfect to the letter of the law and all the way down the line. And when I got outside, I never broke the law. I'm not stupid, you know. I'm not educated in the ways of their education. On my road, I'm not stupid. I know when I'm done something and when I didn't do something, and someone comes to me and says, I got a problem. And I said, what is it? And they said, will you help me? I said, sure, I'll help you. He adopts a tone now, mocking his own younger, naive self, characterizing a sing-song, gung-ho quality. He said, well, can I be your brother? I said, sure, I'm your brother. I'll help you do anything you want. What's your problem? He says, a guy owes me some money. I say, well, you're big enough. Go get it. And you ain't sit down and keep your mouth shut. He said, what would you do? I said, fuck it, man. It's only money. I wouldn't put my life up for no fucking money. You dig what I'm saying? He said, well, I'm going to go get my money. I said, well, that's up to you. I got nothing to do with me. This guy went over and fucked a guy and took his money. You dig what I'm saying? He comes back and says, I killed the dude. I said, you fucking tell me what you tell me for? What the fuck you tell me for? You making me a conspiracy or something? You dig? Nic Schreck, do you think you're incarcerated more for your idea than what you were supposed to? Charlie Manson, I'm incarcerated because they're afraid. Nic Schreck, we have to change this tape. Charlie Manson, I hope tape change. Charlie Manson, suffer. You don't know how many children or how many people are suffering right now because they won't change. See, they don't have the intelligence to change. Makes robotic motion with arms along with machine like, huh? Sounds like it's illustrated for conception of humans as willfully unthinking, permanently programmed, and ultimately intermittently destructive contraptions. Once you get them, huh? They'll go, huh? The rest of their life. Huh? That'll do that for a paycheck. You tell them, don't do that no more. Then they go, that's no communication. I tell you, stop doing that. And they go, I say, stop it. Then they go, Actors as though he's violently trying to destroy his undestructible piece of machinery with slashing and hammering motions, completing his description, shouting through clenched teeth. And you cut the thing and this fucking throat and throw blood in their face, and then they go, Charles sarcastically, you see what I'm saying? In other words, there's just no intelligence, man. Nic Schreck, what do you have to hope for mankind then? Charlie Manson, not at that level, I don't. That's not mankind, that's not intelligence, it's not even beast. You have the intelligence of a zoo, Nic Schreck, so you say beast, you're talking about 666 a lot. What does that mean to you? 666 is just a dollar bill. That's the body of the money, the body of the people that work for the money. Take the gold on that man's ring, pointing to the black officer. He works, questioning the officers directly. How long did you work for that, officer? 2 or 3 weeks. Charlie Manson, 2 or 3 weeks to get that ring. And when he got that ring, he put it on his finger and he rides it around. Then he doesn't know that he's holding up the very same value that he's working his African brother to death, laughs, and it's starving everybody else down to the ground, but he wears it on his finger like it was okay. He simply drops, laughing, stops to become somber. I'll take it off and throw it in the dirt. Dig? It's true, I wouldn't enslave nobody for a piece of gold. It's stupid, and anybody you see wearing gold, they're enslaving somebody else with it. But it's where their brain is, and you can't get them out of it. You know what they can get out of it? Wails in agony and assumes that position of Christ crucified. Because that was where they hung their fucking last asshole. What do you think about that last asshole? Charlie Manson, he's still there. At you see him, he's still right there. Nothing's changed. He's right now, then, and is right now. You dig? And now I'm not going back over there fucking them assholes. Nic Schreck, what does Satan mean to you as opposed to Christ? Charlie Manson, Satan means whatever I'm looking at, whatever I want it to mean. It's on my forehead. It's me that I can get up in the highway. It's me trying to save my air, my water, my trees, and my wildlife. And it's me on the catamaran. It's me right in his watch. It's me in his brain. It's me right in his ear. And he's shaving in the morning. I'm sitting right up underneath his razor. You dig? And everything that's human being, he doesn't understand. It's all their fears and what they're not sure of. You dig? That's what I'm saying. Satan, to me, would be God. If you would be God to me, you dig? I can worship anything as God. Everything is God. The sun is God. The moon is God. Everything is God, except them stupid fucking people who've got that shit stuck up their fucking heads and they won't get rid of it. They're out there talking about parrots of sanctimonious televangelist preacher's voice, seguing into himself again, speaking into the manic word salad of half gibberish. Well, Jesus loves you in the front of the cross, and he's doing all these things. Boo-hoo, wah-bah, and they're back there Googling. That's what blasted Ronald Reagan on the Roop Scoop, then back to the Boopski Boop, and then he's coming back again in my alley and said, yeah, well, I believe in cheese. Don't give me that shit, man. I know who's believing in. I know who you believe in. Nic Schreck, what about Abraxas? Charlie Manson, Abraxas? Coughs heavily, catching his breath. Abraxas, yeah, all right. You remember when you had the harmonic convergence? All the people was up in the mountains over there. Pauses for effect. Hess died right that night. Appears winding about after coughing. Nic Schreck, do you want to sit down? Charlie Manson, I am. Pauses. Hess died that night. When Hess died that night, they put me longer in prison than anybody in the world. Hess was always longer than me, but when he died, he put me the only thing that he was standing on, the very same thought that you and I are standing on now. You see what I'm saying? In other words, we're still in that same dream. We're still in the same thought, and nothing can take that. You can take my body away, you can stick it in the cabinet, and it's still there, referring to a file cabinet. You dig what I'm saying? You can't take it. What you dig I'm saying? You're too many people that gave their lives for it. They gave their lives and they're still bleeding for it. You dig, and the spirit is there, and I will bring the spirit back to life. But for people like this, motions to Langerman, you dig what I'm saying? He hates white people. He's scared to death of this black guy, referring to the other officer. He's afraid the black guy is going to beat him up. The black guy ain't thinking about it. The only reason he's scared of the black guy is because he's messed over the black guys so bad. You dig what I'm saying? He's got all the back. So what he'll do is feed me to this dude, the black officer. You dig what I'm saying? And say, well, here, don't hit me, jump on me. And then he told me in the point to stand me out in front of all these black people, you dig, and then push me down in there and try to get me hurt, try to get me killed in every way they can. And then when they can't, then they say, oh, wow, man. And then they want to hear boots and wonder about Manson is now refocusing his venomous patter to Langerman specifically. I'm going to catch up with you. I bet you I can catch up with you. I bet you I can catch up with you, buddy. I bet you I can make you be what you are. Or I'll skin your fucking ass and hang you on a tree. I'll do every fucking thing I can do, just exactly what I do to survive, man. Nic Schreck. How do you think you survived so long in the situation? Charlie Manson, because I'm adapt. I am adapt to just about everything, man. You know, in other words, I stay right here all the time. I've been here all the same time all my life. It's just no new thing to me. See, you can go out a prison yard and you can get beat up on everything that happens around you. And then you can let everything get you in that, you know, and I'm letting you get into me now. And you know that, don't you? In other words, you, this Satan interfering in the camera filming him, it's getting into me now. See, because he's getting me. Now, if he was outside, he wouldn't know me. But if he wasn't for this bullshit, I'd be gone, man. I'm a little wound up in the road somewhere, you know? I'm gone down the road, man. This is all bullshit, man. The whole motherfucking attention thing. I don't need anybody's attention about nothing. He returns to the vendetta again against Langerman, now mocking him in a coterish, taunted voice. I can tell you what I do myself. I don't need nobody. I ain't looking for no followers. I'm looking to survive. Now this delivery turns to normal as though it drifted away from Langerman for a little while, and survival to me is out there in the desert, running around with them wolves and them coyotes and them bugs and them birds and them bushes and things. I want to get back to the ground with mine, you dig? Now I can get these people. They are what are trying to be and do like me, and you dig what I'm saying? In other words, like I got all these fucking attention on me. I got 1,900 million people. You dig what I'm saying? Now, how do I get away from them? Nic Schreck, what do you think you attracted them in the first place? Well, because of that, I am the soul of, I'm a reflection of. You take a little baby and put him in the penitentiary and you raise him up. I'm Richard Milhouse Nixon. Long pause to wait for reaction. Nic Schreck, I'm Richard Milhouse Nixon. You dig what I'm saying? But I'm him down here underground, man. I've had to do all the fucking while he gets up there and takes all the bows. You dig? I got to carry the motherfucker while his fat sack of shit, referring to Langerman, won't let me call my old lady. And while his old lady tells him mocking voice of a nagging fishwife, shut up, and you see what I mean. Nic Schreck, who's your old lady these days? Charlie Manson, Squeaky, the one that's down there doing life for trying to get me out of jail. Nic Schreck, what do you think about her escaping? Charlie Manson, she's right on. She's better be right on. She knows that she's got to do. See, she knows what she's got to survive on this planet Earth, just like Cough. So all the people that are with me do. The ones that are with me do, and the ones who are not with me are not with themselves. Nic Schreck, what do you think about James Mason and the Universal Order? Manson, mentioning James Mason name now appears to be a trigger which suddenly fills Manson with rage. I wish you'd send James a copy of this, referring to the film he made of the interview. Nic Schreck, I'll do that. His speech accelerates. His spitting anger, grabbing the opposite ends of the invisible sword, breaking them over his knee. The swords he's referring to are depicted in a photo he's looking at in the Manson file, which depicts James Mason holding a sword standing near Sandra Good, who was wearing a hooded ceremonial robe, and tells him that he had them swords. I'd reach and take them swords and rip him, and I'd throw them down on his feet. You dig in what I'm saying? And I tell him now, standing at attention when I'm talking to you. That's where it comes from. I don't come from no fucking book, standing up or I'll knock your fucking brains out. And what I'm saying, handcuffs on the son of a bitch down there and let me the jig. I show you how I integrate the motherfucker. I'll dig what I'm saying. I'll integrate you. I'll reach in your brain and pull your fucking soul out and throw it on the floor. I'm tired of this bullshit, you dig? Mocking neo-Nazi, he acts out their rigid, uptight behavior while giving the Nazi salute, and all the people that running around play acting like hoo gaga and playing all that shit they better get in line and get off the motherfucker. You dig what I'm saying? In other words, they're talking about, in the name of the Lord, I'm going to say this, and in the name of the Lord, I'm going to say that, and in the name of the Lord, if there was such a thing, you see what I'm saying? Would he be the devil? Waits for reaction if he's not acting a rhetorical question, but is waiting for Schreck to answer the question. Nic Schreck, Charlie repeats the question if he wants to make clear to Schreck that he wants to answer to the question. If there is such a thing, would he be the devil? Pauses for the answer. Then Schreck still doesn't answer, allowing Manson to continue. Manson looks Schreck over and tries to figure out based on his physical appearance. What's the big scar on you running down your face? There, Manson indicates the position of the scar he thinks he sees on Schreck's face. Nic Schreck, I don't think I have a scar there. Oh, really? Charlie Manson, yeah, you do. It's been run in your makeup. Uh-huh. Yeah, it looked like you had a scar. Kind of hot in there. Yeah, I'm going to get a tattoo of a scorpion over here, indicating where he wants the tattoo to be located. If I ever get out of this main line, and if I don't get out of the main line, then we'll all go to church. We can go with the Folgers and the Kokorians and the Kardashians and the whole group. We'll get all our family member and just go to church. Since they own all the churches in this city, I'm sure if we go to the church, we'll see all of my family members. So anyway, we're going to end this stream and we'll continue to read about the Charlie Manson, Nic Schreck saga tomorrow.